Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. I'm your host, your purveyor of all things dorky within the scope of professional wrestling and sports entertainment. I am Grum. It is good to have you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. You're on the steering wheel. You're in the car with me as I'm on break. Hey, good to see you. Glad to have you. Episode 88. I got it right. Last week I said last week was 88. No, it's 87. This week's 88. This week's episode with Diabeto and Sopee. Diabeto making his third return, Sopee second. We're talking about the time Charles Robinson stepped into the ring on pay-per-view in WCW at Slamboree 1999 to take on Gorgeous George. No, not Gorgeous George, the male wrestler that was flamboyant and well-regarded. No, not even his grandson, who was the maestro, who maybe you could get away with calling him Gorgeous George 2 or something like that. No. Macho Man Randy Savage literally bought the rights to the name Gorgeous George and gave it to his girlfriend for her to start her wrestling career. So, yeah, I mean, look, investment maybe, getting the money's worth, I don't know, but either way, it's a fun episode. We talk about that. We talk about some good stuff. I think we recorded this. It was the day of the draft, the NFL draft, first round, as well as Game 6 of the Celtics Atlanta Hawks. So I'm recording this the day of the first game between the Sixers and the Celtics. This goes up on the main feed on YouTube. Like and subscribe, by the way. On the main feed, though, potentially after the series is over, the Sixers could get swept. Who knows? Or the Celtics. That's not going to happen. Either way, it's a good episode today. A lot of fun. Last week, I started going on a tangent about like Bobby Lashley getting a title shot, and somehow, I don't know, I think I went like 17 different ways talking about like the internet wrestling community and fans and whatnot, like not know or thinking they know everything, and then people just operating different. I had like a day or two to think about it, literally a day, I should say, because I recorded it yesterday as I'm recording this. But the point I was trying to make was that wrestling promoters know more than the fans, because the fans don't see all the data. They don't have all the revenue lines, all the shit like that. I'm not saying that like they're good because that. No, I'm just saying that they know more, and they make their decisions based on a little bit more. But I was talking about, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was talking about how the Acclaimed got absolutely like, basically what I was trying to say is the Acclaimed got fucked because they were put in a no-win situation because they got over not on their wrestling ability, right? In a company that prides its champions on their wrestling ability. Like, it's one of those things where, and the audience themselves, want their champions and featured talent to be good wrestlers. Why? Because the majority of AEW diehard audience were attracted to AEW because it was not WWE, where, you know, Roman Reigns gets dogged for having a slower, a more plodding pace of his work, and now you add in the stuff with, like, you know, regular interference to help win, which, I mean, that's history. Like, name me a heel champion that has won straight up, but you can't. Like they don't do that. Heel champions do not win straight up because that's not what a heel does, right? Especially when they're telling a story about a guy who is power hungry and is willing to manipulate his own family so that he can remain in power. Not the family, him. Again, just, you can't, this is where it comes back to like the wrestling fans. You can't see the forest for the trees, myself included sometimes. All that to say, I just wanted to clarify that because it was on my mind yesterday when I was uploading. I was just like, man, damn, like I didn't finish that thought well enough of just like either thought really, where like, the Acclaim were in a tough spot because they're not as good as wrestlers as the previous champions, and they got over on the basis of their out of wrestling, their character, their promos. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have won the titles. I'm saying understand that like there's a ceiling for that in a company where wrestling is valued higher, right? You don't take the context into things. You don't look at things of going, oh, hey, AEW is a wrestling company. It's a pro wrestling company. That's probably why the guys who are arguably top 3 going right now, FTR, the world champions, because they can go and they can wrestle with anybody, and their promos are good, albeit they get tired sometimes. But I enjoy them, even objectively recognizing that. But either way, that's all that. This week's episode has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with Charles Robinson, a referee, pretending to be Ric Flair for a match against Macho Man's girlfriend. WCW was odd, and this wasn't even the oddest it would get. This is pre-Russo's, right, a little bit before Russo too, which is just But that's all that. We'll get into that. Diabeto, Sopee. We're getting to that and so much more here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.
Keep your ad hominems away from me. You can't call me ugly.
Yeah,
exactly, right? Like, you can't. When you see me, you can go, oh, he's ugly. He doesn't know anything, Like, but when you don't know, when your profile pictures are, occasional things that might not be anything, could be abstract paintings for all we know, or anime pictures. The worst.
Oh yeah, that's how you know the takes are coming.
The takes, the racism, the sexism, the lack of hygiene. Like, if I see an anime, I think I know of one person who has an anime avatar, and I know for a fact bathes regularly. That's it. That's it.
Yeah, the anime avatar and the blue check mark. It's over. It's so over.
It's so over. And then you go to see what their pinned tweet is, just them. It's just like a link to like their own thing, but like you go and click on it and it hasn't been updated in months. And they're like, oh, like, look at, subscribe to my Substack, and it's like, the first thing on the Substack is like, the problem with dating American women in 2022. And you're like, it's 2020. We're months into 2023. Like, we're almost into May of 2023 now. First off, what do you go like? Did you guys see the guy who left the incel community because he got laid?
Yeah. Yes.
Wait, so then did he turn on them and was like, you guys are kind of weird, actually.
Yeah. At first, it was kind of sincere. He was like, hey, guys, sorry, I'm no longer a part of this community. And then everyone's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, he didn't outright accost everybody at first, right? He was kind of like, I'm leaving behind a lot of friends I made that I hope to see again in the future, but I have to leave because I got some last night. And like,
which is just so funny. Like, is that the only thing you talk about? Like, the only thing you ever bonded over? Where it's like, oh, I can no longer be your friends because I got some pussy.
The best part about it is, right, incel, involuntarily celibate, right?
Yeah, you're not there by choice.
The idea is you are celibate because of things outside. He just went and proved that nobody there is involuntarily anything. like you're voluntarily being celibate. Like, like, and he doesn't like explain what happens. Like, he doesn't explain like if it's a girlfriend or if it's like he
paid for it.
Paid for it.
Yeah.
I think I did see something where like somebody was like, like the way they phrased it, it was like, did the person you have sex with, does she know who you are? And he goes, yeah, she's seen my Twitter. She knows. And it's like, which is very, wow. Like, it's very funny because when somebody's like, hey, like, with my girlfriend, like, has she seen your Twitter? And I'm like, yeah, she knows. Like, very, eerily same energy, but very different. Like, it was just somebody's like, like, you've been posting real horny stuff the last, like, year during the pandemic. And I'm like, yeah, she knows. Like, she's well aware. But then it's like, some guy was like, you'll be back. And he goes, I fucking hope not. You're a bunch of virgins. Like, it's just like they insulted the woman who had sex with him by like, what kind of whore would have sex with you, man? Like, you're disgusting. It's like,
wow.
buddy, have you looked in a mirror?
Yeah. It's like, buddy, I was one of you until this happened.
I was one of the better looking ones too. Like,
Yeah.
if I'm an ugly incel, like, it just goes like, what's very funny is like the day before, everybody, like Twitter's favorite pastor, Solomon, Missouri, like quote tweeted like the official incel, like they tweeted something about like, you know, how it's not a choice to be, you know, celibate. Like none of them, you know, they all want to have sex and everything. And he's basically like, dog, you have no good friends. Like, getting your ugly friend laid is like, I think he said, getting the ugly guy in your group laid is the plot to most mid 2000s male centric comedy movies. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's maybe not the main focus, but like, you know, like, oh hey, like McLovin is like the B plot of Superbad, you know.
There was literally an entire movie with Steve Carell about it. Bags of sand, come on, man.
When he's riding his bike back home after the poker night, it's the funniest thing. And it's like, as a kid growing up, you're just like, I hope that's never me. But then you think about it, you're like, oh no, that's been me in other senses. Like, it's just like a preposterous idea for a 40-year-old to be riding his bike home from a poker night crying of like, you idiot, sandbags. Yeah.
So funny.
It's like,
Yeah, the tits feel like bags of sand, man. Have you ever felt a titty in your life?
I just
like that's how they found out he's a virgin.
I honestly loved growing up. I fell asleep to some weird things. I would fall like nowadays. I fall asleep to nothing but the voices in my head, which is an improvement because I used to fall asleep to watching like old wrestling. Like, you know, like like 80s, like, then I was like, oh, you know what, let me just like rewatch like the Attitude Era. So I just would watch like Nitro one night, you know, Raw the next night, just go through. And but before that, growing up, I would watch like DVDs. I'd just watch movies and fall asleep to them to a point. But then I got to a point where they weren't enough to like I would want to watch the movie. So I'm like, how do I watch the movie without watching the movie? So I put on like director's commentary. So there I was as like a 13, 14-year-old listening to Steve Carell, Judd Apatow, Seth Rogen. Who else was on the
Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd was Paul Rudd was on the commentary. There was a couple other people as well. And they're just, the stories are filthy, man. They're like, yeah, like
imagine it.
It's like the commentary for the unrated version, right? So they're like, yeah, no, so like this was we literally couldn't put the take I wanted. Like Judd Apatow was like, there's a take of this scene that I wanted in the movie. I literally couldn't put it in because even in the unrated, it would have been NC-17. And I'm like, do you know how bad that joke has to be?
Yeah, what
Dude, especially in 2004.
Exactly, right?
Standards were much different back then.
Like, how bad did the scene have to get if you were like, and they were talking about it during the poker scene. So I'm like, unless like they do a flashback to when Seth Rogen is in Mexico for the Donkey Show. Like, that's the only way that it would have been. I'm like, what? How could this scene get raunchier? And to the point where they're like, no, you can't put this on an unrated version. It will be NC-17.
But it's like before the movie, I was going to bring up, said you used to watch like wrestling. So yeah, nothing puts me to sleep like 2000 WCW.
Look, that was...
No, speaking of, I was going to ask when I first joined because I saw a TikTok, and I don't know if you've done a dork side on it. And
yeah.
If that's what we're doing today, it's an extreme coincidence. But it was Vince Russo versus Booker T, and it looked more like a Hell in a Cell, but I think it was a steel cage.
So it's called it was their Hell in a Cell. They called it Cage to Heat.
It's just so he's wearing football pads and a helmet.
So
he's hitting referees with bats and lead pipes with the softest. And I get you're trying to protect the refs. I understand he's not a real wrestler, so I understand that. But the whole mat, like I just thought it was like highlights on TikTok, and it was so fucking like he was trying to climb through the top, and like wrestlers, like someone pushed him down, but then Sting came down and it's like, I guess it was supposed to be Sting that knocked him down, and it was just a whole shit show. It was just so fucking funny seeing this man in football pads and a helmet hitting people with a baseball bat in like with bunts, the softest thing you've ever seen.
The best part about that is I've known about that match for a long time, right? But because going back and watching it, as soon as I was like, oh wait, this is that episode, I stayed up all night because I was like, I have to watch this match. So
it's so funny, dude.
He comes out, he's got the football pads on and everything. We're not talking about it, but I am going to talk about it because like it's such a fun.
Yeah, thing. You have to. Yeah, it's.
But the amount of shit that happens, like you saw the highlights, but like for anybody who's like listening, like okay, I'm kind of interested. No, not Lex Luger. But Sting comes in and he prevents Russo from leaving. Basically, the point of the match is it was like you have to escape to win. But like Booker T's like, I'm not going to escape until I'm satisfied with this guy getting his ass whooped. But then like security guards come in, and then turns out one of the security guard is Ric Flair, who Russo was feuding with, like, and stole his son, his large adult son. Like it was like the largest, like Vince Russo, like Ric Flair was like my large, Vince stole my wife and my large adult son. They don't want to talk to me. And then Sting comes down, gets involved. I think Lex Luger gets involved. And then Goldberg comes in and spears Vince Russo through the cell as Booker T is getting out. And Vince Russo wins the world title. Now, mind you, Vince Russo at the time is the guy writing the show, and he wrote himself into the show. And he gets speared. He's wearing full-on football pads. Bill Goldberg, a former NFL player, football spears him through chain link fence. And not only does he spear him through it, he spears him through it, and his head hits barricades because Bill Goldberg does not do anything less than 105% effort, and Vince Russo is a normal human being. So
Bill Goldberg's never been known to be a half stepper.
No. The man, high motor on him. He fucking murdered. So then. They're like, wait a second, Vince Russo's the world champion, and then he does like an interview on their like Thursday show in a neck brace, and he's like, that monster Bill Goldberg, he's a criminal, I tell you. I'm the world champion, but I'm not fit to defend it, so I'm gonna give it up. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
What is the point?
But yeah, no. Wild. Again, not when you said the best stuff to go to sleep to, 2000s WCW. No, not at all. Because it was just a wild ride of like, why did they think that was a good idea? They had Mike Awesome be the career killer, the fat chick thriller, that 70s guy where he basically drove around in a school bus that was like painted like the Brady's Bunch like title card. He fought ICP. Vince Russo became the world champion, a whole bunch of stuff. I do not recommend falling asleep to 2000s WCW. Try like,
it sounds like utter chaos.
Utter chaos every week. It was 3 hours. It was 3 hours for a little bit. Then they dropped the third hour and went back to 2. Utter chaos. Vince Russo is talking about like fat hicks in like, Indiana. He's like, a real New Yorker like me. You should be like, I had to wash my feet walking down the road because of you fat dumb hicks. And it's like, you just really, really, hey man, I'm from New York. Just gonna grind that to a fine powder. But it's very easy to hate people from New York, so I do get it. But yeah, we're here on the dork side of the ring, talking a little dork side of the ring, but also incels. I didn't have that on my bingo card until we were talking about Twitter a little bit. Fun episode today, as always. Got the close personal pals, the close personal friends on one side of the table. We got Diabeto coming back. Good to have you.
Thanks, pal.
No, thank you. This is
that's resident D'Anthony Melton superfan, Diabeto.
Hey,
go Sixers.
Go Sixers. Gotta wait till Monday. No matter what. So those darn Celtics just couldn't close out those pesky Atlanta Hawks. Oh, hey, I'm on the other side of the table. Boston's very own, the New England's own. Neo, New England's Nevo's own. Yeah, Sopee. It's Sopee. I was trying to do like an OVO thing. Hey, Sopee, welcome back.
What's going on, man? Appreciate you having me back.
I promise I will. I'm sure you have the Celtics game up, and I'm sure I'm looking at it right now. I'm sure that the Hawks are clearly put away and are clearly not in the game at all, despite being 1 point down. So we'll see. By the end of this, either Sopee's going to kill me by the end of this recording, or Sopee's going to kill me in other ways, because Sopee's like, "I'll see you Monday," and I'm like, "All right, well, you won't see me, but."
It's gonna be a war.
Gonna be a war. Well, look, you need to get through. Trae Young first. Okay?
I didn't say who was going to be involved in it. I said
Smart.
Could be Hawks Sixers.
It could be Hawks Sixers. Either way, the Sixers will be there. That's all I know. But good to have you on, Diabeto. Third time on the podcast. Episodes 34, the Duke the Dumpster Drose with Hobb. That was a fun one. It was so much fun that I forgot to unmute my mic, or unmute the recording on my end, like for 10 minutes of the thing. It was great. And then what was the other episode? It was
with Cornman,
the Good Housekeeping,
the house utensil man. Yes,
the Good Housekeeping man. And that's episode 60. I just had Cord on the other day. I should have remembered that. And Sopee, this is your second time. It's been a long time.
Yes, sir.
But we're back. You were there episode single digit, or no, it was double digits. It was number 10, the first double digits with Dan, the hog pen match.
Yes, the farm slop special.
Some good, just Triple H in riding boots and getting a cut and then getting thrown in pig shit, which is always good for cut. I'm sure of it. I've never experienced it, but clearly I'm not a professional. But it's good to have you guys on. Are you guys ready to step back into the dork side of the ring and get real dorky with it?
Oh, I'm ready.
I've been ready.
Good. Diabeto, also, I want everybody on the record. Diabeto blocked me. So
all this unnecessary drama. He's trying to cut a promo.
This bastard, this diabetic bastard, this low blood sugar having motherfucker.
Sometimes it could be high. It's Schrodinger's blood sugar. You don't know until you poke your finger.
This
insulin pizza.
This insulin intolerant motherfucker. No, it was all for a bit, which I always appreciate. Anything for
a retro posters, but I needed a screenshot, and he had a message in the middle. Poster's got to do what he's got to do.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to bring that up. It made for a fun, like, hey, like you gotta extend the friend request back, and things like I already did, and I was like,
I do like you bring that up, but you failed to mention that I am the current reigning, defending, undisputed Grum Sub Rumble champion.
I was going to say that.
After Paul Grumman did everything he could to keep me out of the Rumble itself.
No,
so I had to face that stupid panda in Hell in a Cell after.
First off, two things. One, it's called booking a good story, pal. All right, you got robbed. I was putting the heat on you. I was putting some heat on you, and it worked out because. Let me tell you something. I've never seen a man in chainmail beat up a panda like that ever. I've also never seen a panda beat up a man in chainmail like that. That was.
Oh, he was giving me the hands
and the paws and
everything.
Diabeto was thrown off of the cell twice, thrown through it once, and went back up every time.
Yeah, Mick Foley's got nothing on me.
No, 45 minutes of pure unadulterated, like just because for some reason I think I forgot to turn on like falls count anywhere for that, so the pinfall had to be in the ring,
and they kept going. And they just kept
going to the top. It didn't make any sense. I'm like, this is great. This is fantastic. But yes, Diabeto is your reigning, defending, undisputed Grum Sub Rumble champion. So it's good to have you on. I was going to bring that up as well when I did this and tell you to reintroduce yourself. I was going to say, also, don't forget about your championship. But you already did that.
I could never. It means everything to me.
It's in your Discord bio. It
can confirm.
Brings a smile to my face every time I click on your name to send you a message rather than go like find and start a conversation. Diabeto, tell the people a little bit about you, where you can find you and what you do and where you've been and what's up with you.
Occupation, I vibe, pretty much.
Good.
I just chill on just chill on Discord and Twitter for the most part. I've been into wrestling for a while. I told my very unfortunate story of how I found out wrestling was real on my last episode I was here, or was staged, my bad. But yeah, I've been into it. I got into it when I was like 8, and then watched it for a little bit, got off around 2012 to 2014. Came back, it was after the Shield. It was after WrestleMania 30, so I missed the whole Daniel Bryan thing. Mm. But then since then, generally I'm just like a pay-per-view only kind of guy. But it's incredible. I love it. Not really going to find anything better on TV out there, in my opinion, from someone that doesn't really watch TV. So, hey, there's no competition. But hey, low-hanging fruit tastes the sweetest. So
absolutely.
I love it.
You can't have, look, again, you're going to have a take. You can't put your face to it. That's a mistake.
Absolutely not.
Saying that there's nothing better. Like, there really isn't, though. But I'm also biased in that all I watch on television is wrestling, except maybe like Love is Blind. Like, that's probably it. Yeah, no, it's just that or Love is Blind. Which, if there's a wrestling version of Love is Blind, buddy, I'm done. Like, you're never seeing me again. That's all I'm going to consume. I'm going to just sit there and like I'm going to become a fanfic writer. If there was like a Love is Blind crossover with like wrestling, I'm all in. Sopee, appearance number 2. It's been a while, so some people, we've got a lot of new viewers, got some old viewers. Reintroduce yourself. Tell the people a little about you, where they can find you, and what you got going on.
Man, kind of like Diabeto. I got a degree in chilling, so I kind of specialize in that. 9 to 5, but then also the other hours of the day, doing that. Find me on Twitter. Poking around the TWS community, hanging out. I know you're in there. Yeah. Aside from that, like, I don't have as storied of a background in wrestling as Diabeto does. Like, I got into it when I was like 4 or 5 because my mom was a huge fan, was a big Hulkster fan. So I got into it in basically the early to mid 90s. I was a huge Bret Hart guy. Still my favorite. Black and pink is just it's an unprecedented and unrivaled combination.
Especially the hot pink. Like you put a little bit of spice on that pink. Whoo, looks good.
I mean, I know he's canceled these days, but I always remember when Kanye first came out with the Yeezys when he was with Nike. The first pair was a black and pink pair, and I was like, dude, this brings me. If Bret Hart was a wrestler when these came out, like, yeah, he would have been on fire.
Imagine Bret Hart with the little Kanye shades. He just walks in.
Instead of his actual cool glasses, he's got the Kanye.
Yeah, he's got the Venetian blinds.
I'm seeing Bret Hart's in the background of Kanye's all the lights. Like, you're like, wait a second, is that Bret Hart? Like,
hey, he's probably credited on that song. Everyone in the world is. He's got some credit on there.
You're like, wait a second, like, look.
Did I see 2 legs crossed? Is that a sharpshooter back there?
I see a leather jacket with some pink in it. That's definitely a Bret Hart homage. Like, wait a second, hold on. Yeah. I mean, look, Bret Hart is objectively like one of the cooler pro wrestlers because as a pro wrestler, like, the guy just was. Again, he made pink and black cool. He was the pink and black attack. Like, that was like one man is holding up 2 colors as like you would think like the purple people eaters for the Minnesota Vikings long ago, or the steel curtain. No, he is one man. He is the pink and black attack. You would be like, that's at least 3 people. No,
dude,
no,
and it's crazy because like I see Complex and these other Instagram accounts. Occasionally they'll put together like the good costumes and outfits of wrestlers and shit. Yeah. I remember seeing one of Bret Hart that was a slideshow of like at least 10 of them, And it's like he had 2 colors to work with. And he had that many fucking different iterations of it, and it was all absolute fire. The boots were fucking killer. I liked it when he like sometimes he'd go black pants, pink top,
Yeah.
sometimes all pink. All pink was more rare.
That was special. If he was rocking the all pink, you go, "Oh, this is an important one. This is like,
Yeah, they must be at Wembley here.
yeah, it's a big time fight. You know, you don't break out the all pinks for nothing. No." And then he also was just like the excellence of execution. Like that's what they named him, the excellence of execution.
It's a fire name,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
First off, alliteration always a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then they went from calling him the excellence of execution. They're like, he's the hitman because hitmen execute people, and it's like
Excellently.
whoa, like the amount of
they're very good at it.
They're very good at it. Some would say excellently, but like it blows your mind because you're like, holy, wait a second. Like it's one thing to have a really good, like a good nickname or two, but to have one nickname directly linked to another, and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like holy, like that. Oh, yeah, no, he's the Hitman, Bret the Hitman Hart. But then I would love when they would drop the part. And he's like Bret Hitman Hart, and it's like. His middle name is Hitman. Like it's not a nickname. It's his. He's at this point he's become so synonymous. It's his middle name. And then like Calgary, they named a hockey team after him. They're like, yeah, the Calgary Hitmen, which a wild name.
Yeah.
in a sport where there are guys known as enforcers, you're going to name
kind of cool, kind of crazy.
Yeah. And then when he started throwing in denim in his attire, so he had the Canadian tuxedo with a little bit of pink and black accents. You're like, this guy doesn't know style at all. This doesn't work at all. But also, I kind of respect it and kind of he's pulling it off.
His bit is being Canadian. Get it, guys?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Bret Hart, great, and also he's like just a good dude. Like for all intents and purposes, like compared to other pro wrestlers, absolutely a good dude. If not a little like justifiably bitter, where like if you say something bad about Bret Hart, he will ether you. He'll be like, you know what? Fuck Sopee. Fuck him into the earth. I don't care. He's gonna burn in hell. He never worked with anybody. He doesn't know a wristwatch from a wrist lock. You know, he's just fucking jabroni. And then like 2 days later, he's like, man, I loved working with Sopee, man. He was great. Like, one time we got done working. It was Poughkeepsie. We were working Poughkeepsie, and my rental had a flat, and he pulled up. He changed my tire. Made sure my gas tank was filled. He did this all, and he just kept going. Great guy. Love Sopee. Love that Sopee guy. Which now reminds me of the time Sopee had some car troubles and later some pants troubles that I heard on a podcast of his one time.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it just came back to me. I was like.
Yeah, good memory.
Yeah, great memory. Look, it's a story that's it stuck with me because I'm like, this is hilarious. Like this.
I don't even remember like where I told that story.
It was on the Morse code, and you had Lang and his co-host.
Oh yes.
And you guys were talking about. I don't remember how this came up, but it was just like, hey, Sopee, like, what about you? Like, yeah, one time I got lost, and then. I had to leave. I was watering, and then I shit my pants. Like, or something. All I remember is like you were like in between houses taking a shit when somebody opened their front door and the light came on. They saw you.
Yeah, nightmare fuel.
horrible. But yeah, look. All right, so growing up, Bret the Hitman Hart, mom, big reason you got into pro wrestling. When did you fall out of pro wrestling?
Unfortunately, I fell out around like the end of the Attitude Era, so that must have been 01, 02. Okay. I don't know why that is, and I regret it. So yeah, now I feel like I'm paying attention to it more vicariously through Twitter, which at least wasn't the case at all up until a couple of years ago. Once I especially came across like you and through like Whiskers community, so. following a bunch of people who are interested in it and just seeing like, man, I can't believe the numbers that these things do. So it's truly impressive.
Yeah.
I want to get back into it. I still might at some point, but yeah, it's yet to be determined if I'll find another Bret Hart from my heart.
There's a lot of Diabeto hold me back, but there's a lot of good pro wrestlers out there.
Absolutely despicable.
I'm sorry.
There's one good wrestler out there, and it is R-Truth.
Like
Paul Heyman has to come into the Royal Rumble one of these days. You have my word.
What a moment! Like, yeah, I'm gonna make Brock Lesnar break. Good luck. Okay. Like, yeah, that's why I'm gonna eliminate you, Paul Heyman. Me, I'm not.
And that's funny. Like now, like so knowing, like they let Brock be himself, and knowing he's actually a really cool dude.
Yeah.
He's just one of the seeing that now, they're like, damn, we were scared to try that. Like,
yeah, no.
This guy's kind of cool.
Yeah, this guy, he's got a lot of fun. Let's have him come out in a Canadian tuxedo. I love the evolution of Brock from just being like farmer to Canadian farmer. He's like, he comes out in a black tank top and jeans and cowboy boots. Then they're like, let's put him in a denim vest. Let's put him in a denim jacket. All right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right.
So remember, I think it was Jericho that said it, and he was like, I'm from Winnipeg. Brock is the only person that moved to Winnipeg. Like, everyone wants to get out of there. He went there because he was tired of people.
This is correct. I have multiple friends from Winnipeg, and they all confirmed that they're like, no. Then I made a joke that with my stimulus way back when, the big time check, you got the first one.
Ooh,
I was gonna buy
quadruple digits.
Yeah, I was gonna buy Manitoba, and they thought they were like, it might be possible. Like, you put it in a savings account for about 6 months, you could probably buy the entire province of Manitoba. And I was like, yeah, and then I'm gonna name Winnipeg Winnebago. That's right, Winnebago, Canada.
Yeah, spending $1,400 just so you can say I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot.
Go back to Toronto. I'm from Winnipeg, you idiot. Which, again, first off, American education. Second off, can you blame him for not knowing Winnipeg? Like, for the longest time, Chris Jericho was billed from Manhattan. So, like, okay. But, no, there's a lot of good ones. It's like, if you're looking just for, what was it about Bret Hart that, like, drew you in?
I think it was a look, first of all, because the other parts of that, the glasses, him giving the glasses to the kid in the crowd, that was cool. The fucking not a Jerry curl, but whatever you would call his hair.
The 90s.
For some reason, I was always like, man, this dude looks like a badass out there, and he's the only one wearing pink.
See. When you were like, yeah, like, you know, he came out, he had the glasses, he gave the glasses to kids. I was like, well, there's two people that I think of, which is Rey Mysterio, who apparently when he would come out with like this bigger mask on top of his regular mask, and he'd take it and put it on a kid, and then like put his head real close to the kid and then go to the ring. Apparently, the story goes, he would tell kids that they would not amount to anything greater than this moment. Like, he would say so, like, he'd just fuck with the kids because no one would ever believe them that Rey Mysterio said I wasn't going to do anything with my life. Like, Dad, he said I'm not going to do anything with my life. No, he didn't. He gave you a mask. Like that's not true. But, like, it all started when, like, somebody posted on, like, a message board that, like, you know, like they were like 6 or, you know, a couple years ago, Rey Mysterio did that and they said that he wouldn't amount to anything. And they're like, that makes sense. Like, who would believe that, you know? And then the other one was Cody Rhodes, and he gives a weight belt, but he looks too much like Homelander. So I'm not going to suggest. The politician pro wrestler. But there's a decent amount of guys who like just look cool. Ricky Starks on AEW. I'm a big fan of Omos, but he's 7'6", so that kind of helps him look cool to me.
I mean, for me, that guy growing up, because like I started watching as like a kid in like 06 or something. Mm-hmm. So it's like, to me, like that equivalent of like Bret Hart to him is like Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
Like, it's easily just the coolest, like, oh, yeah, this dude, he's cool. He does little arm swings. He's got the hair, the cool little armbands. He jumps off anything and everything. Like, this man's willing to kill himself at all times. Like, I love this dude.
Yeah. Like, it's funny because, like, every generation has that guy who, like Jeff Hardy, a generation prior, it was like X-Pac, where it's like, this guy's so much different than everybody else. Like, he's like, or well like 1, 2, 3 Kid, probably is better. Like, where like that guy's so much different than everybody else. He's like, Jeff Hardy's jumping off his shit for no reason. That's fucking great, you know. Or like 1, 2, 3 Kid, he's tiny and everybody's big and he's jumping off at things. It's great.
Yeah.
But like nowadays.
He's going against a 300-pound large Samoan man. Let him jump off a truck in a parking lot. That's how you beat him. And it worked. You can't blame him.
No, look, if I can't shoot him, you're telling me I can't bring a gun. All right, then I'm going to jump off of something on top of him. It could be solved. You just let me bring my 9. I'll bring that. We'll work a match.
Can Jeff Hardy make that? Can Jeff Hardy make that thing bark? Because Logan Paul cannot.
Might have been my favorite thing of like, hey, who wins in a fight, Brock Lesnar or Logan Paul with a gun? And Max just goes, Brock goes, I know Logan Paul can't make that thing bark. It just took me a line of the night. That and was that the same night Jim Jam said there's 2 type of dudes from Pensacola, Feeney and Roman Reigns?
I know Jim Jam said that for sure.
I was like, damn. And Feeney was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's but yeah. Yeah, and there's a couple there, you know, like if you're looking for like the good guy, like the guy who's like, it's Adam, like to me, it's Adam Page, because he goes by Hangman because he has literally hanged, you know, opponents. So that's cool. I think that's cool. Like, it's one thing to have a nickname. It's another thing to do the thing that gets you the nickname multiple times. He goes by the Anxious Millennial Cowboy. Like, his whole thing is that he's just a millennial. So, like, he just also is kind of like when he was world champion, they're like, yeah, so you're going to wrestle this guy in a Texas death match. He goes, like, he's drinking a water and goes, what? Like, what? Why? Also, while I was thinking about it, Orange Cassidy might be your guy you might be looking for, Sopee. If I could describe Orange Cassidy, he's apathetic to everything. But he's really good at, like, he does really good pro wrestling stuff. Like, he comes out in jeans, but they're like baggy jeans. They're more so like, they kind of look like sweatpants. He has a title that he carries in a backpack and hands the backpack to the referee when he's just like holding it on his shoulder nonchalantly. He's got
looking
glasses.
at a picture of him right now, and with glasses on, he looks like Ryan Gosling.
His trademark thing is just like a half-ass thumbs up. Like this, he goes like, "What do you think about that, Orange?" That's it. Whatever. But like he wrestles, he does the Superman punch. He used to come out to Loser by Beck, and I forget what he comes out to now. He's just it's funny. He has a spot where it's kind of like making fun of pro wrestling, where like everybody does like these kicks, you know, and everything. So he puts his hands up, puts his hands in his pockets, and then just half-ass kicks people in the shin, you know, and then like shuffles backwards and then does like a super kick to the shin, but it's so weak and like.
Do they sell it?
No. Which makes it even better. Right? It's because he does it against people who are like so serious, and he's like doing this shit, and they're like, "What the?" Like he did it the first time. His first singles pay-per-view event match was against the bastard Pac, who's just a bastard. Like he's just miserable. He's a British guy. He's like 5'6", 5 feet wide of muscle. And, like, he's doing this shit, and he, like, lets him do it to him. And then he's like, what the fuck was that? And then fucking just elbows the fuck out of him. But, yeah, Orange Cassidy might be somebody to look up a little bit there, Sopee. As, like, you know, I can't believe I'm going to say it, but
if he's given partial energy, if he's given like not maximum effort, I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. He's not quiet quitting because he's good. He likes what he does. It's whatever, man. It's he's got a faction called the Best Friends, and they do this thing where like he's just chilling in the middle of the ring, and the other two guys like are on the corners, and they come in and hug him, and he just stands there the whole time, like almost emotionless. He's just like, and they hug him, and everybody goes crazy for it. So nothing makes sense. Wrestling is again at its best when no one's taking it seriously, but that is not why. That is why we're here, because today's topic is not serious at all. This is one of the more unserious things about pro wrestling. How do you guys feel about intergender wrestling, man versus woman?
I don't think I've ever seen it, to be honest.
Really?
In the years that I watched wrestling, I don't remember seeing it.
I know Diabeto has at least seen one intergender match.
Yes.
Which was a good housekeeping match where the entire premise of it is misogynist gets his comeuppance.
There was no frying pan, but there was a pot. Close enough. I'll take it.
Yeah. No griddle, but there was somebody did use a salami as a weapon, so it works too. But yeah, like maybe just like a concept, like the idea, because pro wrestling discourse around intergender wrestling always comes down to like, oh, it's simulated violence, and then you're simulating like domestic violence because it's man versus woman, and I understand that point, and I get why like WWE doesn't do it, mainly because they present their men as these super strong, like larger than life people, and then they do as well with the women, but they're still like, these are 6'10", 6'6", 6'7", 6'10" dudes, and you can't put them in the ring with a 5'8", at best woman and expect the match to be received as anything but a dude beating a woman. But like the indies, it's more of like a superhero movie, right? So it's like more like Black Widow versus it's not Black Widow versus Thanos. It's like Black Widow versus like Hawkeye. Like these are just it's presented in a better way. And when it's presented like a superhero movie or an action film where it's a woman protagonist or a male protagonist against a woman antagonist, they work pretty well. And today's topic is an intergender match. And it involves two of the all-time greats, Macho Man Randy Savage and Ric Flair. But in spirit, not quite in... Well, they are involved, but not physically, really. I want to say in 98, maybe 99, Macho Man Randy Savage bought the rights to the professional wrestling name Gorgeous George and decided to put that name on his then girlfriend and said, hey, WCW, I bought the rights to this pro wrestler's name, Gorgeous George, an all-time great, very well-known, a legendary wrestler. I'm going to put it on my girlfriend, and then you're going to book her because she's Gorgeous George. Which then maybe got me thinking of, like, if you could buy the rights to anybody's name, like, would you, like, it'd have to be somebody, like, very well known that you kind of look like. Like, I would buy the rights to, like, Seth Rogen. Like, I would want it, like, that's my name now. I'm Seth Rogen. And then because I can kind of pull it off a little bit, it'd be like, hey, Seth Rogen's here. And they look at me and they're like, he looks a little, maybe he's just, Hollywood, okay. Maybe even like Sami Zayn, then I could be a pro wrestler. But then I'm obviously a little bit body-wise different than Sami Zayn. But then I also then thought about, like, why not be LeBron James? And then I could just be like, support it. Like, I'm LeBron James. I can sign off that I endorse your product. I endorse Diabeto's, career. Here we go. Or it'd be like Sopee gets a new podcast. Like the first host is LeBron, first on LeBron James. hey, Sopee, it's good to see you. And they're like, when's LeBron gonna be? When the fuck is LeBron? Like, just in like the deviousness of like, I would buy the names to people and be like, hey, they're on the podcast. Like, Diabeto, today, you are Kevin Hart. Congrats. Or like, so like,
I'm posting all the memes.
or like, you know, Sopee, you're Al Pacino. Welcome to the podcast. It's like, yeah, this week on the Dork Side, I've got Kevin Hart and Al Pacino on to talk. But like, just as a like fun little, whose name would you want to buy the rights to, like, to use as you see fit?
Easy, Luke Richard and Bob Mute. It's so fire. It's so fire.
Great name. Would you?
Oh wait, that's Prince. He is a prince.
Yeah, I was
Prince.
gonna say,
I do not want to take the Prince. I don't know if I can steal. I don't know if I can steal the title. But Prince is a real name, so I can just say that is my first name.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you can be. Yeah, and it's like, I am Luke and Bob Mute. And you're like, oh, all right, okay, yeah. Pegged you more for Dennis, but okay, yeah. Like, yeah. Sopee, what about you? Any names come to mind?
Batiste Diabeto.
That's not a good name. That's a bad name.
Dude, that actually is a fire name.
It is a objectively a good name. Batiste Diabeto is a great name, strong name. It sucks that it's attached to a guy who just had one half decent season and then made me believe in him. Like, how dare you? How dare you? How dare you make me believe? Okay.
He's a better athlete, but it's baseball, so like still no one knows who he is. I like the name Byron
what did I do,
Buxton.
man? Oh, Byron Buxton is fire.
Great name. Because then you're like,
and it's such a baseball name too.
It really is. Speaking of like nicknames, he needs a good nickname. Like,
yeah.
I think maybe I saw it. Maybe it was on Baseball Reference, but like BB Gun, which works.
No.
But also,
I was about to say that.
I didn't get it. He has a good arm. I guess
suck.
it could play, but it doesn't like sound good going like when you say it with the mouth.
Yeah.
Here comes the BB gun. Like,
yeah. You're like,
Yeah, here comes a Butterfinger beat. No, that doesn't work either.
Yeah, Butterfinger.
Yeah.
Terrible baseball nickname.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He's got no nicknames on Baseball Reference. Can we come up with
like,
one for Byron?
Like I feel like if like for like the I guess the like if a nickname is good is like if it would work in wrestling.
That's true. Yeah. So
like if you get, it doesn't have to be in wrestling, but like if it was like if you can like if people can say it on a mic and you're like, okay, yeah, this dude can fuck someone up. Like that's like my like litmus test for like, is this a good nickname? Yeah. Like the Big Unit. Great.
Yeah.
Also great.
Big Hurt.
Like that's something.
The Big Hurt.
Big
Such
Hurt.
a good one. Like I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, like fuck ton bucks ton. Like, yeah, no, great. But like he doesn't amass, like it's not like he's getting like, you know, I'm just like looking at this like, you know, he had like 340 at bats and he ended up with like 28 home runs. Okay, he batted 224 last year though, so like he doesn't do.
Yeah, it's like you're hitting in your 6 hole maybe.
Yeah.
Nah, he's still a top of the lineup hitter. He's just always hurt.
Yeah.
Like, especially because they don't really care about like average as much. And, like he's still doing that much damage until he inevitably gets hurt.
Yeah,
like he's a stud.
He really is, and it's like he got made into a DH, I think, this year.
Yeah, he's been a DH to start, and I don't know if it's because of like a recurring problem, or if they're just playing it like super cautiously to try to get him to play at least 130 games.
Yeah, because his career high is 140. Which got him a 253 with, you know, 16 home runs, 51 RBIs.
Yeah, that was like his rookie year or something. Yeah. That had to have been.
Third year, sorry. Like I'm looking,
okay.
I'm trying to feel like how many stolen bases did he have that year? He had 29 stolen bases. I'm like looking at this like that's like okay, maybe he doesn't need a good nickname. Maybe BB Gun is good enough because they're, you know, much like a BB gun, you go, it's cool to have, and then you realize it's not that cool to have.
Well, he also has the initials of, what amounts to a walk, which isn't that cool of a.
No.
So how do you market that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm pretty the association between someone with the BB initials and a walk is probably already taken by the greatest hitter of all time. So he's got to find something else.
He's been in major leagues for 9 years now. This is his 9th year. He's got 146 walks in his career.
That's not a lot of walks.
No. I was looking at this. I'm like, there's no way that this is his. I'm looking at his baseball reference right now. He doesn't have anything that stands out to me. Like, 51 RBIs is his career high. 51. Like, Alex Baum had 51 RBIs last year. Like,
I think it's just because of injuries. But with his profile, especially coming up too, where it's like the smaller dude, but with a lot of power and speed. Mm-hmm. So it was I think he even got some comparisons to Pittsburgh Barry Bonds. So Baby Bonds was right there, and then he just can't stay healthy.
No.
It's that's so tragic. No, I hate seeing that in sports.
He's got a career 20.6 WAR, almost 500 hits, almost in 10 years, almost 500 hits. Wait
a minute, that is crazy impressive to have 28 home runs but 51 RBI in that same season.
Yeah,
it's the Twins, isn't it?
Yeah,
dude, you got to go out of your way to do that.
You got to avoid hitting home runs with people. Hey, guy on second, we're down by 1. If you hit a home run, we're up by 1, and we walk off. I'm gonna get a single, and then I'll be on first. He'll be on third. It's dude, come on. I know you're capable of much more. Yeah, no. Maybe that'll be a segment in the future, where we just I get my guest to pick an athlete and be like, what's their wrestler name? And then that's their nickname. Byron Buxton. We call him Deadly B, the Killer B.
Yeah, no, but if you just want to go for nicknames, just go to old baseball players.
It's
Oil
so
Can
great.
Boyd, that guy held the NWA title 5 times.
Tungsten Arm O'Doyle. Yeah, no, that was Lex Luger's actual gimmick for a while, because he had surgery on his arm, so they put a metal rod in his arm, and his gimmick was that he had a metal rod in his arm, he would use it to beat people. And, you couldn't say it's illegal because it's inside of his body. It's but then he shouldn't get cleared to wrestle then if he's got something like that's dangerous. But it's wild. But back to what we were talking about. We went on a side tangent. Gorgeous George, not the original Gorgeous George, but the one that was dating Randy Savage in 1999, was training to be a pro wrestler, because that's what Randy Savage wanted for her. And Randy Savage kind of is a big deal. I'm sure you guys have heard of the name Randy Savage. I'm sure plenty of people heard of the name of Randy Savage. Well, they were like, all right, we'll figure out something. But we don't really have other women for her to wrestle. And we don't want her wrestling with the guys because she's not that good. She might get hurt. What if she wrestled a referee? And what if that referee happened to be, I don't know, the spitting image of Ric Flair? And then we can have Ric Flair and Macho Man Randy Savage, longtime feud rivals, feud again. But instead of them wrestling, it's Macho Man's girlfriend and a referee who looks like Ric Flair. It'll sell millions. It did not. However, but we're going to watch that. It is Gorgeous George versus Little Nature Boy Charles Robinson from Slamboree 1999. It's not fun to watch. I mean, it's fun to watch. I thought it was fun to watch, but it's not a good match. It's a bad match. It's a bad match. I'm sorry, Sopee. I know I came in high with the wrestlers wrestling in pig shit. That's a high mark. It was I figured if I go the complete opposite way and just have pig shit as wrestlers, it'll be nice balancing it out. So,
dude, I always knew I was never going to be able to experience that high again, anyways. So.
No, certainly
Chasing the elusive dragon.
Yeah, I figured get you cold hard reality, and obviously, I mean, Diabeto. You had something about Diabeto. This is the second intergender match that I've had, and you have been here for both of them. So don't coincidence right now.
I'm an inclusive icon.
Maybe it'll become a pattern in the future. But who do you guys have winning this? Gorgeous George or Little Nature Boy, Charles Robinson? Diabeto. Who you got?
I have to see. Everything points to the person who's modeled after Ric Flair. Then you have to remember he's a referee, so if she bumps into him, he's going to be out for 10 minutes, and I think that's just too much for him to overcome. So I'm going to have to go with Gorgeous George.
Okay. Sopee, how about you?
I'm going with Gorgeous George too, but strictly off of the backstory of how that name came to be for this woman. I feel like this has got a rags to riches story written all over it.
All right. Okay. So, without further ado, we're going to go watch that. Slamboree 1999, Gorgeous George, Charles Robinson, here on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast. Hey, everybody, taking a break here in the show just to tell you what we got going on the Patreon, support.grum.tv. It is the place to get all your early and exclusive content. You can get it for as low as $1. You get early access to the episodes like this. You can get behind the scenes look of what I'm working on, what is coming down the line. You can also get exclusive watch-alongs like the Good Housekeeping match. Diabeto was there. Diabeto's on this episode. You heard Diabeto talk about it. You can go watch it on the Patreon, support.grum.tv. That's from episode 68. And then even then, when you watch that, you go watch that. Go back and listen to episode 68. Diabeto's there as well. Cornman's there. You can watch it on the YouTube. Dork Side of the Ring. Like and subscribe on YouTube. I appreciate that. You can see my face. It might be a little puffy because I just swallowed some pollen and I did not take my allergy medicine today, so that's why. But you know that. You continue to support us for free. Support.grum.tv is the Patreon, but for free, you can support us by doing a 5-star review, leaving a rating and a review, there we go, on Apple and on Spotify. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at DorksideRing. You can also find us on TikTok, Dorkside of the Ring. I appreciate that so much. Now let me get you back to this week's episode. It was good. We are back on the Dork Side of the Ring. First impressions, Diabeto.
You can say a lot of things about that match. It was definitely one of the wrestling matches of all time. Undisputed. Can't do that.
Can't take that
away. You had to get Macho Man back in somehow.
Yeah.
So they did. I mean, there was a story behind it. Really weird way to go about it, but it's what they chose to do. Got the job done. But am I watching again? There's no shot.
No, absolutely not. That is. I just posted what the original Gorgeous George looked like for your reference there, Sopee. That is. That is what he. That's what he was wrestling. That's what he come out in.
Oh yeah, that is a founding father.
Oh my god! Yeah, he's got a. Yeah, this guy's got like chair legs for teeth for sure.
He was born George Raymond Wagner in 1915. He died in 1963. He was wrestling in the 40s and 50s. He was one of the biggest stars in the sports, gaining media attention for his outrageous character, which was described as flamboyant and charismatic. He was a major national celebrity at his peak and was even largely or solely responsible for establishing television as a viable entertainment medium in its early days.
All right, he was doing work. Anytime I see a shirt like that, I think of Dave Chappelle playing Prince.
Yeah.
This is what's on his. This is what's on the Wikipedia. Same hair. Like that's his real hair. That's not a wig. It's just curled up and rolled and everything.
What is he hiding in the back of that? Why does it protrude out so far?
Well, you see how like in the 90s the mullet was the thing, right? Clearly in the 40s it was a perm. For lack of, I guess I don't know. Wait, he was only 5'9". Like And I guess like 5'9" in like the 40s is kind of tall-ish. You're closer to being tall. Um, like I'm just like looking through and seeing if there's anything about him that like. I don't think there's anything bad about him. He's married twice. Oh, that's right. So, all right. Good to know. Good to know for when I redo this thing. So one of the very first things you guys might remember on the Fun Report, I did this with Jim Jam. The time James Brown came to pro wrestling. I think it might have actually been this event. It might have been this event, really. I have to look at it real quick, but there was a guy by the name of the Maestro, and it's Gorgeous George's grandson. So that's just like a little fun trivia. But yeah, that's it. Sopee, what about you? Enough about that. Sopee, your first impressions of Gorgeous George versus Little Nate.
Before I forget, this picture and this whatever hairstyle this is Kanye in his 808s and Heartbreaks era. When he had that weird like Afro mullet type thing going. That's Gorgeous George apparently had the first rendition of that. But thoughts on the match? Dude, I still can't get that nut tap out of my head. Like I've never seen that move where he went to go suplex him and he hit him in the nuts first. Like, has that ever been done by anyone else?
I don't know if he meant to do it. Right?
Okay,
cause it looked like he was going for a grab.
Yeah, it looked like he was just going for a regular scoop slam, and he just was like, "Hold on, let me just pop you in the dick real quick."
Because that actually did hurt him, right? Like that was.
Oh, absolutely,
okay,
absolutely.
I was like, "Wait, what the fuck was that?"
There's no way it didn't hurt him. Like it very much was like it looked like he was probably just like he was supposed to slam him and whatnot, and he's like, what's the dick punch? I went fishing. Let me show you. I got a fish about this big. Yeah, it's one of my favorite bits. Is like back in high school, man, we were relentless to each other. I was thinking about that the other day, mainly because my girlfriend brought it up. She goes, like, why do dudes just hit each other in their dicks all the time? And I'm like, because it's funny when somebody else gets hit in the dick.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not funny when you get hit in the dick, but it is funny when somebody else gets hit in the dick. It's one of my favorite like Twitter trends was I forget who it was on the top of my head, but they would post somebody getting hit in the dick, and then it was the guy from Wheel of Fortune just celebrating ridiculously, where he's like, "Oh yeah!" like every time the person gets hit in the dick, and it's just ridiculous.
Big money.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was in high school, we had a funny bit where I went to a private all boys school. Those were the same one as DeAnthony Melton. Boom, brought him up again. Anyway, no, but we would have mass like once a month, and they gave you like a mass shirt for the dress code, like it had the school shield on it. Mm-hmm. But it was just a white button down pocket shirt, short sleeve, but they were really cheaply made, so the pockets would just rip off. So by your second month as a freshman, that shit was gone. Like that was the whole thing. It was just you were gonna get pocketed. And then one day a kid showed up and he was wearing just his own white t-shirt. So they grab the pocket and go to rip it, and half the shirt rips off the front.
No.
Wow.
We had some wild things. But that was so funny.
He said, "I'm gonna bring my own one, so I don't." So my
yeah, it was probably just like, like I wore that one time and like threw it in the room somewhere, forgot to wash it. And it's like, oh shoot, I have mass today. I got to wear a white shirt.
No, and then just he ends up with a whole titty out.
Yeah,
just wild. Yeah, no, it's just something about just hitting your friends in the dick. Just brings joy to everybody except your friend. But they'll have their turn to laugh at somebody. But no, my favorite was to tell people about the time I went fishing, and it would change. Like the premise of it would change just a little bit of it. Like, yeah. No, me and my uncle went. Me and my cousin went. Me, this and that. The dead giveaway was I'd make a deadbeat dad joke, and they go, yeah. One time, me and my dad, before he left me, and never returned, So then they were like, what? And then it's like, yeah, we went fishing and I caught a fish, man. And let me tell you, it was big. It was about this big. And then you just, smack somebody in the dick.
Oh, yeah.
Which was funny because if somebody's not paying attention, they're going, what? How big was it? And then you get to do it to somebody else.
This poor dude is very invested in the size of the fish. And you punish him by hitting him in the dick. You're an awful human being.
Yes, I am. I've never claimed to not be. All right, I'm less awful than the worst people. Okay, I'm in the middle somewhere. But yeah, I love that you're like, I can't get anything but this guy punching this referee in the dick out of my mind. There's a whole match with a bunch of shenanigans, and the premise of it's ridiculous. But no, that dick punch, it's ingrained in my brain forever.
Yeah, all the sequins are ingrained in my brain as well.
Well, that's because they're causing blindness.
For getting fits off.
It was. Everybody came prepared. Everybody knew the assignment. They said, we're going to have a Ric Flair robe. We're going to have a Little Nature robe. I love that it said Little Nature Boy on it. I love that. I don't like that I feel like he was like purposely doing the strut bad because it makes it like more apparent how over the top it is. But I would have liked it if he was like, I'm legitimately the Little Nature Boy. Yeah, like look at this. Like, he did every other manner almost.
Even
perfect.
like the figure four, like he didn't do the spin around the leg and then put it. He just kind of locked it in. Like, man, that's half the move.
And I feel like he did it backwards. Like it still ended up being the same way, but he didn't like go around.
He just like folded it. Yeah, he didn't do the dancing with the leg in there.
Come on, you're Little Nature Boy. I do like that. Nature Boy gets on the microphone and he's like, Medusa, I've wanted to fuck you for a long time. Nothing about the match, no warning, no nothing, but he's like, I've been wanting to make you ride Space Mountain for a long time. And then you and your friend, she can come too. It's like, this man was, why was it not obvious that this man was a deviant? Just outwardly was like, I want to fuck you. It's like, well, Jesus Christ. And then he's like, but you little girly, I'll leave for Little Nate, which could also be himself. It could just talk about his penis in the third person, but it was, in this case, Charles Robinson, who's like, I'm going to tap you out, dust you off, pick you up, and take you to Space Mountain. And then it's like, you've moved on. You're old hat macho man.
Also, the thought of, because he was a heel. I'm assuming by the reception and stuff. Yes. Just to publicly announce to a bunch of group of people who hate you where your hotel room is because you're so horny and you don't think that these people might come to hurt you.
Yeah, I'm in Hotel 2210. That's right. That's where I will be. I will be there from 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. Sleeping, I'll be in there. Do not knock. If you do knock, don't have a weapon, please. Like what? It's like the end of Iron Man when Tony Stark is like, I'm Iron Man. Or I guess it's like the third one where he's like, yeah, no, this is where you can find me. And then they fucking blow up his house. Like, what did you think was going to happen, man?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Stab me?
Man who was stabbed. Good time. Yeah, the Macho Man, he's looking great in his very 90s-esque, late 90s. I got to change up the look. Let me go with all black, shiny all black, and no hat. Again, it takes away the mystique that when you're seeing his hair start further and further back, you're like, dog, what happened to my hero, man? He went
from the Macho Man to a ballroom dancer. Like, come on, man.
He's got a harem. I'm concerned, like what he's doing, legally speaking. Like, it's just not. It's not good. And then he's telling Ric Flair that he's gonna punk him, and that Little Nate is gonna lose. He had nothing. He couldn't tell Asya that he didn't want. He's like, I already have 3 women. I don't need a 4th, I guess. So I'm not gonna go. But and then he just kept calling Little Nature Boy like Flair's little girl, which I understand it's the 90s, so let's be sexist and all, but also oddly is my girl is going to win beating your man who I've belittling, but he's a man and she's great. Yeah, it's like I'm confused. Are you for women? Like, are you supporting women? You're supporting women, surely, but then you're also, it's like, you're almost there, Macho Man. You've almost figured it out. Almost there as an ally, but
so close.
we just got to get you there.
Dude, the kick to the back of the head.
Oh.
That might have been my favorite move from the match.
Medusa just came up and kicked Asia in the back of the head.
That was clean.
Asia's like trying to rip the leg off the Gorgeous George's leg right off the bone. And Medusa's just like, knock this the fuck off, and just roundhouse kicks her in the back of the head.
Dude, the curve of her boot fit perfectly around the back of her head.
It did.
That couldn't have been a more square hit.
No.
Yeah.
Clean. In heels, like 3-inch heels too.
Yeah.
And a short skirt, like a very 90s short skirt. Like, it was clear, like, she's like, I got to get this right, otherwise everything's going to be out. Everything's exposed, the business, my cooter, everything's going to be gone. It's not good, so let me get this right one time. I did love that Sopee asked right before, like, was this on TV or on pay-per-view? when Macho Man came out with Medusa, Miss Madness, and Gorgeous George. Just, hey man, it's the 90s. Jerry Springer died. He had a lot to do with this. I'm just like, hey, yeah, titties. Yeah. Over sexualization, yeah. It's like, Jesus Christ.
Rest in peace to the Spring Dog.
I had an old classmate. He went on. He was at like a taping, and he got to send them to commercial for like Jerry's final thought. So he like that. He reposted today. He was, again, it's one of those things of like, wow, this does not age well. But it's like I forget what the concept of the show is. But he was like, hey, you in the gold dress, did you set your makeup gun to whore? And it's like, oh, he fried her, but oh my God, it's so. But also, like, compared to the person who went before him and the person who went after him, like, not the worst. Like, somebody was like, hey, you in the red dress, you should take that bow tie off of your head because no one wants to unwrap you. Like, oh my God, like, boy, okay, all right, like, but yeah, no, Jerry Springer is burning today, so that might be good. The damage he did to me and other people my age, of just like, yeah, let's like, Crash TV is bad, but man, the KKK episode still sticks in my head, man. Why did they have so many different color KKK uniforms? Like, why? I still to this day don't understand. They had one that was blue and yellow, and it's like, yeah, I'm Jewish. I hate, but I'm a KKK member, and it's like, what? Like, do you not understand? Did you miss what part? Did you miss the early part? Like, at what point in the handbook did you skip over the big part of this, which is Christianity? Like, they hate non-Christians too. You understand this, right? It's like, Jesus Christ, man. Like, the Dave Chappelle bit, you know, not spawning off of that, but like shortly after I watched that episode of Jerry Springer, I end up watching Clayton Bixby. It's like, oh, okay, that's funny though. And then like that's what made me like, that exposed the business. I'm like, oh, Jerry Springer's not real. Like, it's wrestling though.
Right. I never watched Jerry Springer. I've only seen certain clips. But the one clip that always sticks with me is, wait, with Jerry Springer was a You Are Not the Father guy, right?
No, that's Maury.
That was Maury.
Yeah.
Oh, gee, okay.
Yeah,
well, I'm gonna say the clip anyway. But it was, there was a point where he said, "You're not the father," and the guy just does a backflip.
Oh my God!
You're not the father.
He just stands up out of his chair. He's like, "Were you practicing this? Like, what happened if you said you were?" And
she runs away. And like in full sprint.
Oh, the cameras always follow him.
After he hits it, and then she gets up and leaves. She wanted to see him do it and then go and do it. Those are like the Maury show. It's always like Jerry was 100% scripted stuff. Like, none of that is legitimate at all. Like, it's all casting. Like, it's all done for the show. The Maury though, I'm always like, first off, they definitely have stake in the DNA center that they use. that gets advertising. They absolutely have a giant stake in it. It's Maury Povich's office. But then it's like, how much of that is real and how much of it is fake? Like, the guy doing the backflip, it has to be real. Because no one would script, like, hey, what if you just did a backflip? Like, he's so happy he's flipping. Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. You know? No way, that had to be real.
Brum, do you remember? I mean, I guess I also don't know exactly how old you guys are, but like,
well, I'm old.
Talking about Maury,
31, yes.
Okay, I'm an old as well. I'm older than that, is what I'll say.
Good call. Good call.
No, in the earlier days of Maury, and I remember this because, dude, my mom would watch Maury, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse Raphael.
The messiest of television. Just everybody was instigators.
But like in the earlier days of Maury, it was way more tame. It wasn't until like Jerry Springer really started to fuck shit up that Maury was like, "Oh, if we do this, you're not the father thing, this is a hit." And they started doing it way, way more often. But before that, they would just have people come on, tell their stories. Maury would try to like, mediate, help them figure out the solution. And I don't even think it was always relationship-based stuff. I think sometimes it would just be like interesting, unique people.
Do you remember the Phobia episodes? Where he would get people... do you remember like the TLC show? Where like they have like, I have this outrageous phobia, like I'm afraid of coupons or something like that. Maury would do those. Like, he'd have a dedicated episode where people have these irrational fears, and he would bring on phobia counselors, like people who are like, this is how you get over it. But like, it was always exposure therapy. It was never like, hey, because it's television, so you can't get like fully deep into like, well, I'm afraid of oranges because when I was a child, like, my dad beat me using an orange, you know? Like, oh, that's... Right. I associate the orange... The fear is not because of the orange, but because of the event that involved the orange. But every time, it would be exposure therapy because it's good for TV. Which also makes me go back to how much of it is real, but also mainly because it's so fucked up that if it was 100% real, and then you have your stagehands walk out a bowl of oranges to somebody who's deathly afraid, who is literally sprinting away full speed from a bowl of oranges. That one sticks out to me. Like, this lady tripped up the stairs. That's how fast she took off. She took off and missed the first step. The other one is paper clips. Somebody was afraid of paper clips, so they blindfolded her and like put her hand into different substances, right? That were paperclip like needle like thumbtacks, right? Which again, also very fucking weird. Like, let's put your hand in thumbtacks.
Things that are paperclip adjacent.
Sharp metal objects, yes. But like, and then put her hand in paper clips, right? The idea being like, well, you know, do you know which one is which? Well, if you're deathly afraid of paper clips, I think you're going to know what a paper clip feels like. And I was proven right, because the lady puts her hand in paper clips and slaps the bowl away. So all of these paper clips go all over the stage. And I'm like, that's going to be a mess to clean up. That would suck. Like, that was my thought process. It's like, wow. But yeah, Maury used to be just a talk show, you know, where it was like, hey, like, me and my dad don't get along. So that's the topic of the show. You get three father-child relationships that are not great, and then you have like a counselor talk about like how Dr. Phil still kind of does, right? Where,
right,
you know, his is all complete. I mean, Mario's was also kind of bullshit too, but like Ricky Lake, messy as fuck. God, she would just be like, it's also very funny to look at it as a 2023 lens, because she was despised because she always blamed the dudes. Like, she always took the women's side in every argument, and then you get to 2023, like, now it's like, well, yeah, because most of the time it is the dude's fault. Like we, you know, she doesn't have sex with me a lot, and like the woman's complaint is like, he doesn't say anything nice about me. Like, he actively says mean things about me, and Ricky's like, well, no wonder why she doesn't fuck you. You're mean. Like, you're a dickhead. Like, no one wants to have sex with that, like, kind of
audience
person.
starts booing Ricky Lake.
And she's like, "What are you doing? Why are you booing me? I'm right, you know." That was always the best, is when the crowd turned on the host for just a second, because they're like,
"Oh yeah,
what kind of bullshit are they on?" I still think like Steve Wilkos had the best glow up. He went from security guard on Jerry Springer to having his own show, where he got to call everybody dirtbags, and no one could say anything because he's a big dude.
the big bald white guy."
Yeah. He would have like the Maury type stuff where like people are like the paternity test and stuff like that, but it would be like extra stuff, so it's like a lie detector as well. It'd be like, like the one that stands out to me so much is like this woman claimed that her boyfriend like sexually assaulted her daughter, and he's like, I did not. I absolutely did not. Like, she's fucking lying and all this stuff. And like Steve Wilkos is like going through the whole stuff, and like he had everybody on stage do a lie detector, but like doesn't tell everybody that they did a lie detector, for the show, right? So the guy who's being accused does he passes it. He's telling the truth. His dad takes it. He's telling the truth, because like they're asking like the dad if the dad did it, or have you any of this stuff? No. And then they ask the woman's sister some questions, and she fucking flunks it. And Steve is like, "You are garbage. Like, how sick of a person do you have to be to help make lies? All this, lie about somebody. You are a sick person. You are an evil person." And like the woman who did the accusing is like flabbergasted. Like you told me he did all this stuff. And then Steve's like, "Well, let's get to your results." And then she turns out she's been lying the whole time as well. And he's like, "You two are evil fucking people." And I'm like, no, this is 100% made up, but this is incredible content. Like, this is,
it's bullshit because they're using lie detectors.
The lie detector determined that was a lie. Yes, not Bobby Joe, who's writing the script for this show. Certainly not.
Not even that. Just like legitimately, lie detectors are absolute dog shit.
They're so bad, man.
It's like, oh, your heart rate spiked. You must be lying. It's not the fact you're being interrogated by police for the first time ever.
No,
you're lying.
No, I always enjoy like the baseline is like, "What's your name?" And you're like,
yeah,
like, Grum. Like that's it. Like,
like what if you just get really nervous?
Yeah, like dog,
I forgot my name. I'm sorry.
I get nervous when the doctor takes my blood pressure, right? Yeah. and that's all he's doing is taking the blood pressure. You're gonna be hooking me up to a whole bunch of things and then determining or not, like if I'm lying or, come on, get real, grow up. It's the worst. That midday television was great though. You stay home from work, or I should say school, and you're like, awesome. I've got 12 hours of Jerry Springer, Judge Joe Brown, Judge Judy, Maury, Montel Jordan.
Price is Right.
Price is Right. Leads right into Jeopardy. It's great, man. They don't make TV like that nowadays. Maybe Diabeto is right. There is nothing better.
The death of the game show has been brutal. And they very well may. I mean, like I know they still do Wheel of Fortune and stuff like that, but man, there used to be so many good ones.
Do you remember the Game Show Network?
Oh yeah, I loved it. Like The Weakest Link. The Weakest Link was my shit. I know they had a WWE episode.
They did. They're doing it again with Jane Lynch. So like they're coming back for like a limited run. I think it's like 8 episodes of it, and one of them is a WWE episode. And I'm like, I'm in 100%. Jane Lynch isn't the original host. She's close. Yeah. So,
but it's so funny from that episode too, where you have the host like totally deadpan looking at Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why aren't you the weakest link?
Well, goddamn kid, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin, 6-time world champion. DTA.
The biggest wrestler in the biggest, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. Are you sure you're not the weakest one here?
The best is like doing it to the Big Show. Like, so you're the Big Show, and like she's like looking up, like neck cranked all the way up, and she's 10 feet away from him and still cranked up. And he goes, "Yes, yeah, I'm the Big Show. Why do they call you that? I'm a show. I'm big. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. They should call you the biggest link because you are the weakest link. Like,
dude,
oh man,
I actually applied for Wheel of Fortune about 2 months ago, and I had my second. Well, I guess it was my first audition a week ago.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I looked on Reddit to see what the usual process is like. So I sent in. I wrote and like recited a poem as my first audition, like a Wheel of Fortune centric poem.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Fuck Bob Barker.
RSTLNE.
I love Drew. Yeah.
Yeah. So the audition thing that I had wasn't even really an audition. It was like a meet and greet with a producer for about 5-10 minutes, literally no more than that. And usually, I was reading on Reddit, people were saying that. And the next round of auditions is where you play like a virtual Wheel of Fortune over Zoom with like 2 or 3 other contestants and I think 1 or 2 judges that are probably just producers. So we'll see. But I was surprised to even get to that I even heard back.
Yeah, we gotta get you on there. We gotta get you looking at retail prices and everything. No Costco
Dude.
for you. Can't be shopping at the big box. They fuck up you gotta go. You gotta go to like Walmart's, no ShopRites, none of these cheap shit. You gotta go start expensive. Living large, Sopee.
Oh, you're talking Price is Right. No, Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, Wheel of Fortune. Why don't we think? Yeah, no. We'll still do that. No more
I was
ShopRites.
doing
All right.
that anyways. I gotta study my prices.
Yeah, you never
Times are
know.
tough these days.
You never know. They may go, look, you're not Wheel of Fortune material, but I know a guy who works for Prices Right. I can get you.
Yeah.
I can get you in.
How much do you think this tube of toothpaste might run you?
$2.29. I think we got. All right. He can definitely get to the showroom.
Yeah. Like,
Dude,
how much
funny,
do you think this 80-inch TV costs? Well, when I scan it for a thing of deodorant, it's only $189.
Well, are we talking before tax, after tax, or Delaware State? Because Delaware, everything's a little bit. That's what I was like wondering.
Black Friday?
Yeah. Are we going off of the 2022 MSRP or the 2023 projected MSRP?
Yeah. And they're like, assume you have a coupon, and it's the guy who's deathly afraid of coupons. Like, no!
Now, Wheel of Fortune would be fun. That's definitely a fun one. I think of all like the game shows going, that's the most, because it's just like a common phrase. Do you know common phrases? Maybe, maybe not. But man, right. I just want to spin that wheel.
You can do some deduction.
Yeah.
You know what? I do want to buy a Val. Hell yeah.
Mr. Diabeto, you have negative $300. You cannot afford it. Well, that's like that's life for me. I can't.
And I buy it on credit.
You hit bankrupt. Well, at least things are looking up for me in real life. That happened.
Oh, it's funny because I was when I was researching it. Well, then obviously they sent the email to say here's when you can schedule your audition. But it was like, if you do get chosen eventually, we don't cover the cost of airfare, your hotel, any of the cost of what it takes for you to get here, what it takes for you to travel to California, which is funny and it makes 100% sense. But I was like, damn, that does suck. But it's just because they're like, there's so many fucking people that apply to this specifically from California. Yeah, we don't need to worry about paying for your travel expenses.
Yeah, like you're like, well, if you're not gonna be able to, we'll go somebody else. Dan, thank you.
Right.
No, I think Jeopardy does something similar. I know somebody who went on to Jeopardy. They got to California. They got to the green room and they were like, "We're not going with you," and they were like, I just spent $600 to fly out, and they're like, well, what the fuck am I gonna do? And they applied to go on. I believe they applied for a different show, like a C tier version of these shows, like that only show up on like Game Show Network. They got on it on short notice, And then Jeopardy calls them while they're filming the other one. And they're like,
holy shit.
Because like somebody, like I think like the contestant before them got sick, so they couldn't so they were like, shit. Well, they're already here because they're like, well, I'm here for the weekend, so if something changes, like let me know, or I guess like the week, and because they were like, well, I'm in California, like I'm just not gonna like go home on within a day, so they're like, well, shit. So they missed being on Jeopardy because Jeopardy told them we don't need you, and then suddenly did need them. And
I hope this person at least won something from the game show that they got on.
No. I don't remember what the show was, but they did not do well. Like, my brain wants to say Supermarket Sweeps, but that's just because I want to be on Supermarket Sweeps. Like, I know exactly. You're not getting turkey or ham roast like me. That's 3 at a time, man. Just going in there like a crane machine and bringing out ham roast and dumping it in the cart. And
that's where you got to go first.
And I'm pulling it. I'm not pushing it. Pushing it is the mistake. You got to pull that. I'm getting my fingers in between the holes, and I'm pulling that sumbitch. We're going for a ride. You're gonna be like, damn, is that Aaron Donald? That's how I'd be on Supermarket Sweeps. I always thought about like when they would do a new Supermarket Sweep, if they would include like the razor section. Because that's such an easy. You can get $700 right from there. Just take it. You take 3 out and just. But the penalty is you have to wait for the guy. You have to find the guy to open up the razor case. It's like,
I forgot that's under lock.
Yeah. Can't those danger to society. Those Gillette replacement razors.
That's right. You can't let just anyone have that. Mm-mm. Yeah, they said the same thing. It was like. Even if you get to the show, even if you get to recording, that doesn't guarantee that we're going to use your episode. So, nothing's guaranteed.
No. I think Price is Right travels. Because I know somebody who applied when they were in Philly for filming. And then I think Family Feud travels as well. But
that looks fun too, but I could never convince my family to go on a fucking game show. No chance.
Mom, Dad, you guys, it'll be great. It'll be a good time. Nope. No.
Mom, you don't want to meet Steve?
You don't want to get fashion advice from Steve Harvey? I just want to ask him about his suits. I'll be like, look, at what point did you stop taking your own advice on suits and just said, fuck it, I can afford whatever I want? Like, he full on went from like, you need 5 suits. You need a brown, a tan, 2 black, and a cream. And then you need this. Motherfucker walking around looking like the Riddler. He looks like he's got Barney Rubble. He looks like the Hamburglar. Ridiculous amounts of non-advice that he took. It's just ridiculous.
Dude, and he's a large human too, so it's like, it's even more cartoonish on him.
Steve Harvey should have been a wrestler. He would have been. He can talk to talk. He can dress. Imagine Steve Harvey coming out with the Ric Flair instead of or just in addition to. It's like Ric Flair. He's got a matching suit that's like blue and white and feathery and sequined. Yeah. Steve Harvey would be the GOAT. You'd be like, wow, this guy, put the title on him.
But like Survey says could be a great wrestling catchphrase. Like you just point to the Jumbotron and he has something pre-planned to go up there and just roast someone. Like that could work.
Or his signature move is like the number one answer.
Show me. Yeah, the commentary. Show me boots.
And just kicks him in the nuts.
Yeah. But no, what's funny? Like Scott Hall used to do that. So in WCW, when he went there as in 96, 97 as part of the NWO, he would do every promo, and he'd be like, "Survey time." He goes, "Are you guys here to see WCW?" And then they'd be like, "Boo," or like, "Yeah," because everybody loved WCW. And then he'd be like, "Or are you here to see the NWO?" And they'd be like, "Yeah!" Everybody would lose their fucking mind or boo him. And either way, he'd be said, "Survey says, one more. for the good guys. And that's it. Great promo. It's incredible. I'm like,
I like that.
Like, more people need to bring, like you said, survey says is a great usage in pro wrestling. It should get used more often. What was the move of the match other than the dick punch, Sopee?
I'm still sticking with the boot to the back of the head from a non-participant.
That's good.
That was a clean roundhouse.
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze. I gotta go with whatever led to the delayed cell. That's my answer.
Oh, when wasn't it the clothesline? She clotheslined him.
It was something into the. I think it was something into the corner, and then like he walked out and just flopped on the ground.
Yeah. I wish he did go for the low blow or an eye poke, like a signature Ric Flair move, but we didn't get it, unfortunately. The roundhouse kick's good. Gorgeous George, for somebody who's not really a pro wrestler, she jumped off the second rope pretty clean with an elbow drop and hit it square, so good for her. But I did love Charles Robinson doing the flip over the top rope, run to the the other corner. Even though in the replay his face is like, it's like, Jesus, like, you never run before? You don't go on runs? Like, I know you're a referee, but like,
we've seen him run. That gif is all time of him at WrestleMania.
Clearly worked on his form and his face. You know? So this is WrestleMania. I gotta have a good face. I'm, live in posterity. That is also, it's very funny. I was just listening to Bruce Pritchard's podcast. They were talking about WrestleMania 24, which that's where Charles Robinson runs from the top of the stage of the Citrus Bowl all the way to like the 50-yard line, basically. And
like Dabo Sweeney.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like that. Exactly. And they were talking about like apparently you know who Zack Ryder is, Diabeto, by any chance?
Yes.
So apparently they were supposed to do a run-in on that match. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins, they were like Edge's like mini-me's. The Edge heads. And in the rehearsals for WrestleMania, they made Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins run from the top of the stage to the ring multiple times in like rehearsals, and then they didn't have him do it in the match. They're like, yeah, did you not even show up in the match? So they had him just run it in the middle of the day in Orlando, Florida, just running 70 yards down an incline. And then made them walk back up and do it again. Such a dickheaded move. But yeah, no, that's... Yeah, I mean, he definitely ran. Although, that lives on forever, the Chariots of Fire with Charles Robinson running down the ring. His slide, with all that momentum, you'd think he would have slid all the way out of the ring, but he slid right to where he needed to go. Good times. But yeah, Gorgeous George won. Macho Man comes back in, then pops Ric Flair in the head for good measure because Flair's upset. All in all, it was certainly a match that happened in the history of pro wrestling, as Diabeto said. But the lasting impression is what I want to know. Diabeto, the lasting impression of this match, of your time on the dork side today.
It's always great being on the dork side, and I love that. The match itself, I didn't really like. I don't really watch much. Me calling it old wrestling is not trying to be offensive. But like pre 2005 and stuff like that, I won't like blindly shit on it. I'm just not really inclined to check it out. I'm just more just like, it's probably better new, or like more inclined to what I would want new.
Yeah.
Like back then, probably in more of like brawly, and there may be a little more psychology involved, which is great. Just maybe not for me. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's cool to occasionally go back and check stuff out.
The purposity of everything, like
and like this bit, and if I'm like, if there's something that's gonna get my foot in the door, it's probably best to be like the weird shit.
Yeah,
like I don't know if I want to see like Macho Man versus or Ric Flair versus Ricky Steamboat. Like necessarily that might not be the thing. Like even though it's like considered one of the greatest things of all time, but it's like I'm not in for like the super serious stuff. At least like to get in.
No, you need the.
I want to see some weird shit.
Yeah, you want to see Vince Russo
Russo in football pads.
Yeah, or Val Venus getting his dick chopped off. Great times. Sopee, lasting impressions of the match of Charles Robinson, of Gorgeous George, and your time here on the Dork Side of the Ring.
I like Diabeto. Also enjoyed my time, as I always do. Charles Robinson's physique is hilarious. It reminded me of like my teenage self, but with like a pot belly. The early stages of a pot belly. Hilarious looking guy to be a miniature Ric Flair. Because he was also like full, like, what, 6 to 8 inches shorter?
Too? Yeah. No, he definitely looks like if you put Ric Flair in the dryer for just a little too long. But somehow fluffier. Like, shrunk him, but he's definitely no definition at all. Like, none. For a guy who's like, he's supposed to have some cardio as a referee and everything. None. Zero definition. Maybe a little in his chest, but it was very bird-like versus like, right. He's got pectoral muscles. No, it's like he's just kind of got a bird chest a little bit.
And even outside of like Nate being short for Nature Boy, Little Nate would have been a perfect name for this guy if he decided to be a wrestler on his own, independent of Ric Flair.
Well, the story of Charles Robinson, I'll just like kind of condense it, is he grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina. That is dead center Ric Flair country, and Ric Flair inspired him to be to get into the pro wrestling business, and he tried being a pro wrestler. I think he wanted to kind of be Ric Flair, and then realized, I fucking suck at this. Let me be a referee. Like, that's something I can do. And so this is like a dream come true. He gets to work every day with his idol Ric Flair as a referee. That's really cool. I'm sure he never complained about that. But to basically be in a program where he gets to be his idol, with his idol in his corner as part of the, like, I could have gone through the entire build of this, because you saw a little bit of it. Like, he's just calling her a bimbo. He's doing the Nature Boy like mannerisms and everything. But like this is like months long of like Flair going like, Charles, come here, Charles. He's like, there might be a place for you in my cabinet, because he's the president of WCW. He's like, there might be a place. And Charles like, oh, cool. So like, there's like this deteriorating character of where he's like starting to believe his own shit as Little Nature Boy, because Ric Flair's like, yeah. Meanwhile, Nature Boy's crazy himself. But it's just, I still, the line of, I'm going to buy you bubblegum because everybody knows a bimbo can't walk, chew bubblegum and walk at the same time. Oh, interesting. That's the thing that I'm taking away, because it's like, what does that have to do with your wrestling match though? Like, can she wrestle? Can a bimbo wrestle and do one of those things? Like, I also very loved calling her a bimbo.
It's a crazy route to take that joke.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna buy you bubblegum. Oh, because my breath stinks? No, because you can't walk and chew bubblegum at the same time.
Yeah, your breath smells great, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
Do you brush your teeth twice a day and use mouthwash and floss? Because it shows. Like, it's wild. Absolutely wild. Sopee, where can the people find you? What do you want to plug? Anything you'd like to plug? The floor is yours.
Hit me up on Twitter at Sopee_. I'm going to try to pop into the Discord more often. I was in there today. No one believed it was me besides you. So I appreciate you taking up for me. That's the Grum charm.
That's me. It doesn't work in my favor much in the Cord. I've lost my sway a little bit, but I was there. I got you.
Dude, that's because of what happened in the Beijing Olympics, but we're past that.
Look, I went out on a limb. I said, look, I don't think the Americans are going to win gold. You don't just redeem yourself like that. And
not as a team, usually.
Not as a team. Maybe individuals, you can be a skier and redeem yourself, but like, no. And then, there was the whole, like, I was at the practice and I said, hey, I was like, LeBron, I don't know if you got it, man. and then he yelled at me something about Skip Bayless wannabe, and then I was banished. So I understand. I get it. I've moved past it. That was 15 years ago.
Yeah, we got to get you back in good graces, but yeah, I'm gonna try to pop back into the CPF chat on Discord, but otherwise, just find me on Twitter. Occasionally, not tweeting nearly as much as I used to. I've toned it down, but just on there, chilling.
Hell yeah, it's Sopee, SOPEE _. You can also find Sopee wherever they have chop suey sandwiches.
That's right.
Diabeto, where can the people find you? What would you like to plug, bring awareness to? All the good stuff. The floor is yours.
You can find me in your walls if you say anything mean about my sports teams. So keep an eye open for that.
Yeah.
I will find you. No.
Can confirm. I said one bad thing about the Braves last year, and then suddenly I heard an insulin shot in my walls. I said, wait a second. Diabeto's here.
I am always looking. Nah, just be a good person. Don't be a dick. Go Braves.
Go Braves. Go Barves. Go Barves. Go Phils. Sorry. I had to do it.
I understand.
Thank you guys so much. This episode, by the time this episode's hit the airwave, it's this will have been a foregone conclusion. But congratulations to the Boston Celtics for beating the Atlanta Hawks and finishing off their first round matchup. Good job by them. Proud of them.
Let's go C's.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. Monday, Wednesday, off day Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So, by the time this airs, maybe the Celtics aren't in the playoffs anymore. Who knows? Maybe the Sixers aren't in the playoffs anymore. There's only one way to find out, and that's to play those games. But yeah, I was hoping, I was checking the score, and I should have checked the score before I started the bit because I wanted to say congratulations to the Atlanta Hawks for forcing a Game 7. However, that didn't happen. So, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it, and I love you guys.
Love you too, bro.
Love you too, pal.
Thank you, Diabeto. Thank you, Sopee. I appreciate it so much for coming on and being great guests again. I don't know what's going on. My hands are jiggly because I've been weed whacking today, so my hands are feeling weird. Anybody's ever trimmed with a weed whacker? You know what I'm talking about. But look, thank you, fan. Thank you, listener, person listening to this right now. Thank you if you have liked and subscribed to the Dork Side of the Ring on YouTube already. If you haven't, you're missing out on some stuff that's coming down the line. I'm going to add some stuff also, like the Sami Zayn video essay that's there. So go give that a watch. It's a good one. But thank you. Next week's episode 89. I don't know what it is yet. I got one working. I got one schedule. We just got to schedule it and record it. We just got another one. I'm working on the details of talking to some people. Some others I need to get together as well. But either way, I don't know what it is just yet. But it's going to be a good one. I'm sure of it. Trust me. I haven't let you down yet. I hope I haven't, I should say. And if I haven't let you down yet, then I appreciate that. And if I have let you down, then go to the Twitter and the Instagram at Dorksidering, and you just let me know. Go ahead. Let me know. Follow and then just do all that. And then go to the TikTok, Dork Side of the Ring Pod. Go there, leave some comments on some videos saying, hey, you let me down. And I'll be like, dang, I let him down. And if you think I let you down so much that you're willing to put some money behind it, support.grum.tv. That's the Patreon. I don't know how that one works logically. If I let you down, why you would give me money, but either way, hopefully I have not let you down. I may have let you down with that plug there, but I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. It's been a fun time. We're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of the first episode of the podcast, which I wish if I'd done it. Actually, I think I may have done it right, where that might actually be episode 100. I have to look at it. I don't think it is, because it was July. It was July, the first week of July, and that's 6 weeks, so it's 90. Yeah, I missed it. I missed it by a couple of days. Either way, it'll be a good time. That's good. Then we get to do a 2-year, and then we get to do 2-year, and then we get to do episode 100. So that'll be a good one. Maybe we'll start revisiting some of the old stuff and doing it in a longer form. 'Cause some of that stuff, I didn't do well enough. And we'll talk about that. I'll make a note of that. We'll talk about that on next week's episode. Some of the things. Let me know if there's some topics that I have covered that you would like to hear new people take on or whatnot, or even get better. Like watch-alongs, like the Chucky thing was a very short thing. I could also have the match after that, or a couple of things. There's plenty of things. There was a lot to go over that I haven't gone over in some of these topics, and we'll get back to it. That's for next week and the weeks after. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for continuing to not take wrestling seriously, because as I say here all the time, and as we believe, wrestling is better when no one is taking it seriously. I am Grum. I appreciate it. You are my beloved listener, my beloved audience. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys here next week on the Dork Side of the Ring podcast.